I'm Michael Sangster, CEO of NAC. Join me and Gale Force Winds for special conversations here at the North American Education Convention.
Well, I'm Alan Dale from Gale Force Winds. What a wonderful time I'm having here in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm at the North America Career Education Convention, and I tell you, the folks in this room are changing people's lives. That's what they do. They might think they're educating people, but what they're really doing is transforming lives. It's incredible to be in this conversation, and not only with the educators, but the broader ecosystem, the people that are supporting and supplying the colleges so that they are enabled to do their work. And I love meeting these folks one person at a time. And on that note, why don't you introduce yourself, sir? Tell us what you do.
I'm Jason Altmire. I am the CEO of Career Education Colleges and Universities. We are the national association that represents private post-secondary career schools.
Talk to me about the role of CECU. What are you guys mandated to do?
Yeah, CECU is an acronym, CECU, and we are the counterpart to the Canadian Association, which is the National Association of Career Colleges. And we have a partnership. There's about 500 or so schools in the Canadian Association. On the American side, we have about 800. So together we share membership of 1,300 career college campuses across North America. When you think of career colleges, you think of the trades, so welding, HVAC, truck driving, any of the skilled trades, auto and aviation technicians, healthcare programs, a lot of nursing programs, medical and dental assisting, beauty and wellness, information technology, cybersecurity, business programs, other niche type programs. But you said it, it's the transformational impact of these are non-traditional students by and large, people who have tried something else, maybe hasn't worked out for them, often first in their family to try higher education and to see the impact that our schools are having on their lives and their ability to move on and get jobs that can sustain a family. It's really exhilarating.
It really is. I mean, I've had the pleasure to talk to students, graduates, and family members.
Yeah.
It's very positive stuff that's happening. You hit the nail on the head. Some of them first in their family to have ever done this. I want to talk about the collaboration between Canada and the US in this important work.
When Michael and I both started our roles at about the same time, about 5 years ago. And when we met, it was just to compare notes. And then we realized that we have a lot in common among our membership. The first thing that you notice when you look at the regulatory environment is our government structure is so different in the U.S. and in Canada. So right from the start, you might say, well, what are we going to work together on? Why would we have a partnership? But once you get beyond the government side, everything is the same. The type of students we serve, the type of programs we offer, the challenges of operating and maintaining a successful school, marketing, enrollment, admissions, all of the things that are important to our schools are also important to schools north of the border. So Michael and I hit it off. We've become friends personally, but the associations have now aligned because we have so much in common.
And the vendors and suppliers, they're supplying on both sides. Yeah. They understand that, exactly to your point, that we're all sharing, other than the regulations, which even in Canada provincially change, of course, right? Yes. But aside from the regulations, there's so much in common and so much space for the vendors and suppliers to be a part of the conversation, both sides of the border.
What we do have in common on the regulatory side is, as for-profit institutions, Michael calls his members regulated career colleges, but we have our critics. There are people out there that express concern about the role of the for-profit environment in higher education generally. And one of the first things I got to do through Michael was, I think it was 2021 or 22, I went up and was at a meeting in Ottawa, and I met with Michael with the regulators from the provinces in Canada, and to sit with them and hear them talk about their concerns and their priorities and the issues that were important to them. It was identical to the issues that are important to our politicians in America, both congressional and our regulators. So although the structure is different, the concerns are the same, and our response is the same. We talk about student success and graduation and job placement rates. The facts are on our side. So it was an interesting, kind of an eye-opening experience for me to sit with the regulators in Canada, knowing that it was pretty similar to sitting with the regulators in the U.S.
I love hearing that, because if the challenges and the opportunities are the same at the association level, you could just imagine the amount of collaboration that can be done between colleges across the border here, the amount of ideas that can be shared and the way they're approaching things. And it's a fun time to be in this space. AI is sort of moving in different directions. There's so many opportunities. And the really interesting thing about this group of people is their agility to take products to market, to adapt their training to meet the needs of industry and governments and broadly their society. Talk to me about the importance of that agility.
That's one of the things that separates us and is different from the public sector schools. And there is certainly a role for both. But when you look at innovation and change and the ability to adapt to the future and see what's coming and modify your programs to the benefit of the student, so that we're teaching and educating and training students for jobs that are going to be here when they graduate, not jobs that were here 5 years ago, that's something that's unique to our sector. And a lot of the people who are leading schools are also entrepreneurs, they're visionaries, they look to the future. And I think there's a great student benefit to that type of mentality.
Onto that student benefit for a moment. These folks genuinely care about the students that arrive at their doorstep.
Yes.
They do everything they can to drop the barriers to learning.
Yes.
Right? Whether that's financial or otherwise, they want to help that student get in the classroom. And not only get in the classroom, but then they want to put instructors in front of them with real experience and then help them get a job out the other end. That's not a normal model in the education sector, but here it is.
It's another key difference between our schools and public sector schools, and that is that we have flexibility in our programming. We offer night courses. We understand that these are working, non-traditional students, single moms, veterans returning from the workforce, maybe people who've been downsized from their job, people who are working 2 jobs already and need to take school on weekends or at night. And we offer that flexibility. And what you said is correct about working with the students, understanding their personal circumstances. I have visited over 100 career colleges across America, and what always strikes me is the stories of if a student doesn't show up for class, if that desk is empty or that welding stall is empty that day, not some lower level administrator, but the CEO, the campus president, is going to be on the line to that person that day saying, hey, is everything okay? I saw you weren't there today. Is there anything that we can do? That does not happen in publicly funded colleges. There's a personal connection that you see with our schools that's different than anywhere else.
You know, it's fascinating. You must have had the great privilege of being at graduation ceremonies, watching people walk across the stage, watching their families, many of them perhaps for the first time walking across the stage. Talk to me about the impact that made on you.
As we speak today, I just did one of those keynote speeches last week at a graduation ceremony in New Jersey, and there were 1,200 people there. And it's the best thing about this role, and I've done it several times across the country. And when you see the faces, not just of the students, but of the people that are there to support them, their families, and at a traditional graduation at a 4-year, maybe state school, you'll hear people yell and scream, that's my daughter, that's my son. At our schools, we hear, that's my mom, right? That's my family that's there, and the kids are there to cheer them on. And what really strikes me is every once in a while, you will see someone that nobody is cheering for. No one is there for them, and you realize they did this themselves. They made that sacrifice. They put themselves through school, and now they've graduated. They're on the other end of it, and their life awaits. And it's just so thrilling to be there and to see and be a part of that graduation ceremony. And it puts in perspective why I do what I do. I really love to see the life-changing impact that our schools have.
Watching your eyes light up as you talk about that, I can feel the passion that you have for what it is that you do. Thank you very much for all of this coming together. We're wonderful friends and neighbors here.
Yes.
And the best part of a conversation like this is we're doing it for the benefit of the students that walk through those doors. An absolute pleasure to be in conversation with you. And all of this stuff doesn't happen without solid leadership. So thank you very much for your leadership.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for watching Gale Force Wins from Las Vegas. Check out NAC.ca and career.org to learn more about NAC and CECU.